Hello everyone. If you're interested in immigrating to Canada, please watch my video presentation. Canada, as we know, is a beautiful country, but no one would move to a country only because it's incredibly beautiful. But there are more practical and better reasons to move here. So let's look at the benefits and what are the other reasons. Canada, as we know, is a diverse and one of the most inclusive and multicultural countries in the world, with a strong and stable economy, very clean and friendly cities, world-class universities, lots of business and job opportunities. It's a safe and peaceful nation with low crime rates. There's equal opportunity for all in all areas of life. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms gives all residents and citizens in Canada the right to be treated equally under the law and to be protected against discrimination in all its forms. It believes in uniting families. You can sponsor your parents, grandparents, spouse, children. Employment levels are high and our annual inflation rate is low, which makes it relatively affordable for you and your family. It leads in research and innovation. Canada has many policies in place to protect its workers, and it's the only country in North America with mandated vacation leave, 2 guaranteed weeks of paid vacation for all employees, in addition to 6 to 10 statutory holidays depending on the province. Canadians are also guaranteed access to a variety of monetary protections, including employment insurance, old age security, Canada pension plan, and a federal childcare benefit. Canadians enjoy universal healthcare system under which it provides residents and citizens with reasonable access to medical services without paying out of pocket for healthcare, such as hospital visits or access to doctors. You don't have to worry about huge medical bills. Permanent residents have the right to free education up to the age of 18 in Canadian public school system. So all in all, Canada is a great place to work, do business, study, raise a family. Recently, Marco Mendicino, our Canadian Immigration Minister, presented new insights and said that though COVID-19 has disrupted international travel and immigration, but we still plan to continue to grow by introducing new policies, bringing in more workers, helping the international students as they are already contributing towards the economy. Canada had a choice, and we could put a pause, we could cut immigration, but our government firmly believes that immigration is essential for economic growth and it's a good way for recovery and prosperity. So in 2021, our target is 401,000 immigrants, and 60% of these fall under the economic category. And looking ahead, Canada plans to welcome 411,000 immigrants in 2022 and 421,000 in 2023. That's great news, and you can be one of them. So if you're thinking about moving to Canada, you're doing the right thing. If you have the right experience, language abilities, skills, and background, then you might be able to make Canada your permanent home through express entry and other immigration pathways. But hey, it's not like you can just say, I want to go to Canada, chalo Canada, and land here as a permanent resident. You must be able to meet the selection criteria, which has been designed to pick the brightest and the best. I'll begin with the money matters or the financial aspect first, the cost to submit an express entry profile. Most of you know, but some of you might not know, that submitting an express entry profile is free of charge. However, there may be some other possible costs before submitting your express entry profile, like English or French language exam by an approved language testing organization. And in addition to that, you may have to pay for educational credential assessment for the evaluation and pay for translation of any documents into English or French language. Canadian government fees to process permanent residence application, medical exams, police background check, biometric fees, and lastly, you might be paying to hire an immigration professional. But this is not required. As I mentioned earlier, you can file your application on your own. So the most common and the quickest way to immigrate is through the express entry, which is the application management system, and it manages applications for 3 economic immigration programs. Provinces and territories can also recruit candidates from its express entry pool, through the provincial nominee program, or we call it PNP, to meet the labor market needs. Now, what are these 3 economic classes? They are the federal skilled worker class, the Canadian experience class, and the federal skilled trades. So today's presentation is about the eligibility to apply as a federal skilled worker class and express entry. This program is for skilled workers with foreign experience and who want to immigrate to Canada permanently. This is one of the 3 federal programs managed through express entry. So now the first step is to find out if you're eligible or not. There are 6 selection factors in the federal skilled worker program, which will help assess your eligibility for the federal skilled worker program. The eligibility is based on your age, education, work experience, whether you have a valid job offer, your English and your French language skills, and also adaptability, how well you are likely to settle here. After an assessment of your selection factors, you are assigned an overall score out of 100. The current pass mark is 67 points. If you score 67 points or higher, then you may qualify for the federal skilled worker program. So there are two steps or 2 stages wherein the potential candidates have to complete an online express entry profile and provide information about their skills, education, work experience, language ability, etc., etc., and to submit an expression of interest, after which they enter the express entry pool. Candidates get points for their human capital like age, skills, education, work experience, language ability. You are awarded additional points if you have completed post-secondary studies in Canada, if you have a valid job offer, Canadian work experience, or if you've received a nomination from a province or territory, and also for strong French language ability, and if you have a sibling in Canada who is either a citizen or a permanent resident of Canada. You have to note that completing an online express entry profile does not guarantee that a candidate will receive an invitation to apply for permanent residence. Now the next stage, or step 2, is the invitation to apply, or ITA. After submitting your profile, after submitting your express entry profile, if the candidate ranks among the top in the pool, then that candidate will receive an invitation to apply, or ITA, for permanent residence. If invited to apply, the applicant will have 60 days to submit an electronic application for permanent residence through one of the economic classes or categories. An express entry profile can be valid for up to 1 year. So if you do not receive an invitation to apply for permanent residence after 12 months, you can resubmit your profile and re-enter the pool if you still meet the criteria. Canadian government holds periodic draws and approximately every 2 weeks invites the top candidates to apply for permanent residence. Now for completing an online express entry profile or for entering the pool, it does not guarantee that you will be invited to apply for permanent residence. And if anyone is giving you that guarantee, they say we can get it done. That's not true. Canadian immigration system is completely based on fairness. There no priority, no preference is given to anyone. So scammers and fraudulent people are everywhere. Don't lose your money. If anyone says they can get you a job if you pay them, do not trust them. You do not have to pay to get a job. It's the immigration authorities that make the decision on your application. So there is no guarantee for approval. Here, let me tell you that a profile is not an application. It is an expression of interest in immigrating to Canada. Also, to let you know, a live person does not look at your profile. The profile confirms your eligibility in FSW, FST or CEC, any of the economic classes, and it awards the CRS points. Highest ranking applicants receive the invitation to apply for permanent residence. It's also important to note that the age factor, age locks in on the date of invitation. It's the only CRS points factor that locks in at the ITA stage. Let's look at the minimum requirements now. First, let me tell you about the skilled work experience. Skilled work experience means that you have worked in one of the National Occupational Classification, or what we call NOC, job groups. Canadian immigration programs use the NOC to decide if a job or type of work experience meets their eligibility. The skill types are managerial or management jobs, which is skill type 0, such as the restaurant managers. Then professional jobs, which is a skill level A. These jobs usually need a degree from a university, such as doctors and architects. Then comes the technical jobs and skill trades, which is skill level B, and this usually needs a college diploma or training as an apprentice, such as chefs, plumbers and electricians. Then we have skill level C, which is usually requires high school or job specific training, like industrial butchers, long haul truck drivers, food and beverage servers. And lastly, we have skill level D. This includes labor jobs that usually give on-the-job training, such as fruit pickers and cleaning staff. Your skilled experience must be in the same type of job. It should have the same NOC that you want to file your immigration application in, which is called your primary occupation. It should be within the last 10 years. It must be paid, like paid wages or earned commission. Volunteer work or unpaid internships do not count. And it should be at least 1 year of continuous work or 1,560 hours, which is a total of 30 hours per week. You can meet this in a few different ways, like working full-time, one job, 30 hours per week for 12 months, or 1,560 hours, or equal amounts in part-time work. Then comes the language ability. You must take approved language tests in English or French or both, and writing, reading, listening and speaking, and get a minimum score of Canadian Language Benchmark CLB 7 in all 4 abilities. And remember, your language tests are valid for 2 years after the date of test result. Also, they must be valid on the day you apply for permanent residence. Let me highlight one important change here to the express entry system. In October, Canada announced an increase in number of express entry points available to French-speaking and bilingual candidates. The points for French language increased from 15 to 25, and for bilingual candidates from 30 to 50. Next comes education. If you went to school in Canada, you must have a certificate, diploma or a degree from a Canadian secondary institution, high school or post-secondary institution. If you have foreign education, then you must have an Educational Credential Assessment or ECA for immigration purpose from a designated organization showing that your education is equal to a completed certificate, diploma or a degree from a Canadian secondary institution or high school or post-secondary institution. An ECA is valid for 5 years. Another important factor is proof of funds. You must show that you have enough money for you and your family to settle in Canada, unless you are currently able to legally work in Canada, you have a valid job offer from an employer in Canada. In my next video, we will also discuss about what is considered as a valid job offer. You should have your settlement funds. Settlement funds can be bank accounts, stocks, bonds, retirement savings plan, and something which is liquid. It can be cashed like 401k in the United States. It cannot be encumbered debt. It cannot be owed. You cannot take a loan. Yeah, it cannot be something like an equity in your house. Gifts are also seen as suspicious, and for gifts you might need an affidavit if you still show it as a gift. If you suddenly get a considerable amount of funds in your bank account, then you might need to show sale purchase agreement if you've sold a house or a car to acquire that money. Then admissibility is also a very important factor here. You must be admissible to Canada. If you're found inadmissible, you will be denied a visa or an electronic travel authorization, or we call it as ETA. You could be found inadmissible for several reasons, such as security reasons, which includes subversion, attempts to overthrow government, espionage, violence, terrorism, war crimes, DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol, money laundering, etc., etc. You may be inadmissible for medical reasons, for conditions that endanger public health, endanger public safety, or causes excessive demand on health or social services. Some may be exempt also, because as we just explained, healthcare is free in Canada. Then financial reasons, if you're unable or you're unwilling to support yourself and your family members. Also for misrepresentation, which includes providing false information or withholding information. You must be truthful and responsible for what you put in your application. Having a lawyer, having a consultant will not protect you, will not shield you in any way. If you provide false information or you leave important details, it can seriously affect your application, and your application may be refused, and they can find you inadmissible and bar you for 5 years from applying to Canada for such reasons. Now, the next step is to get the documents for express entry ready. You do not need to upload documents to submit a profile, but you may need information from some documents like passport, travel document, language test results, proof of Canadian education, or an educational credential assessment report for immigration purposes. Some others, if you have like provincial nomination, written job offers from an employer in Canada, if you have one, proof of work experience, certificate of qualification in a trade occupation issued by a Canadian province or territory, of course if you have one, and the proof of funds. Remember, if the information does not impact eligibility or your points, then there is no need for you to enter it in your profile. And always remember that PR application requires evidence that proves eligibility, that proves CRS points, that proves admissibility. If you cannot prove it, then do not enter it in your profile. For creating your express entry profile, if you're single, there is no confusion. But if you're married or if you have a common law partner, one of you must be the main or the principal applicant. This person will submit a profile and list the spouse or partner in it. And the principal applicant should be the one of you who is most likely to meet the eligibility requirements, who can earn the most points in the selection factors if applying under the Federal Skilled Workers Program, who can earn the most points in the Express Entries Comprehensive Ranking System or CRS. Both can also create separate profiles. But it's interesting to note here that apparently the scoring system favors the individual more than the married applicant. So you can declare your spouse, but not for points assessment. Make sure you're not misrepresenting. So what are the documents for your application for permanent residence? If you are invited to apply, you will need to upload copies of the documents you used for your profile and also need to upload the police certificates, medical exams, proof of funds, birth certificates, common law union form, marriage certificate, divorce certificate, legal separation agreement, death certificate required if you've declared your marital status as widowed, and adoption certificate, it's required if the dependent child is listed as adopted. You will need proof of relationship to a relative in Canada if you have one, digital photos to confirm your identity, and any other documents that you feel are relevant to your application. Very important, your work experience letter. To quickly summarize the process for you, find out if you're eligible for express entry, which I explained earlier. Next step is to complete your language testing, obtain an educational credential assessment, ECA, after which you can submit your profile on the government site, which is IRCC. Then begins the period that can make you desperate and anxious, but all you can do is wait. Meanwhile, you can try to enhance your qualifications, improve your language skills, get maybe another ECA from a different designated organization. You can do the same for your spouse to maximize your chances. And maybe you can also visit Canada and if there are any job fairs, you can attend those. You can meet any potential employers. This may not be very easy for everyone, but ones who can do it, they should try to do that. However, if you receive an invitation to apply or ITA for permanent residence from IRCC, then submit your completed application for permanent residence or APR to IRCC. Pay your fees within the specified deadline, and then you'll have to submit your medical exams and police certificates also with it. After this process, IRCC will provide you with the acknowledgement of receipt or the AOR. After this, you will need to submit your biometrics to the IRCC. When the final decision on your application is made and it's approved, you will receive a confirmation of permanent residence or COPR and a permanent resident visa if you're from a country that requires visa. Now, if you are eligible to apply and you have low score, should you apply? If you have a low score, certainly I'll say yes. If you don't have enough points currently, still you should create your profile, because if your profile is entered in the system and you get the provincial nomination, you can get 600 additional points that can help you qualify. You can keep working to improve your language scores. You might get a job offer and the scores are always changing, so you might just get lucky. If you are interested in applying for Canadian immigration, focus on the timing, as you get points for age and it takes some time to prepare and take the language test and also apply for ECA. If you want us to help you with your Canadian immigration application, please get in touch with us. And hope you like this video. Like and subscribe. I'll see you again with more informative videos to help you and to guide you. Thank you.